You are now listening to the Girl Organize That Life podcast. Coach L3.
Hi, welcome to the Girl Organize That Life podcast, where I am your host, Leslie Latimore-Lorfils, affectionately known as Coach L3. As a mother of 12, who has also served as a senior military officer for nearly 3 decades alongside my husband, I can certainly understand and appreciate who I call the 3C sisters: crazy, chaos, and confusion. If you are an executive level mom, mompreneur, or lady leader who perhaps still struggles with burnout, you have come to the right place where you can receive strategies and tips on how to pivot with poise and conquer the noise. I invite you to take this journey with us to increase your clarity, your confidence, and to conquer the overwhelm. Hope to see you there.
Coach L3.
Hey girls, hey, and welcome back to the Girl Organize That Life podcast, Ep.4. Coach L3 is back, and today I have the pleasure of talking to you all about habit formation. You know, we have our core of who we are, and we have ways of doing things. We have our rituals, we have our routines, and we have what are called our habits. Our habits, which is part of our behavior. And how many of us know that we can say, oh, well, I've been doing it this way for so long. And just because you've been doing it that way doesn't make it the best way. And so today we're going to talk about what that means. We're going to talk about how we can better cultivate how we have been showing up. Now, let me preface this by saying to you all that your habits really don't go away. You just learn to refine them. We have good habits and we have not so good habits. So before we get into the real meat and potatoes of things, let's talk about what that means. First of all, understand that you will never change your life until you change something in your daily routine. So I'll use me for an example. After the many kids that I've given birth to, as I approach almost half a century of being on this earth, I'm 48 years young currently. I have never really struggled with my weight. And part of it is, one, I am getting older, and so my metabolism changes, hormones change, just lots of things change. And but some of it is, I got to look at some of my habits. What is it that I'm eating? How often am I moving? How much water am I drinking? Those things, those typical things that you kind of know about, that you like, oh, well, yeah, I know I need to do better. And so we have to look at that. And I'll be talking about, why power and willpower and what that means. I'll talk about that a little later, but we have to look at your routines and things that you have to change. And one reference that I believe that everyone should have in their toolbox is a book that's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. He gives so many juicy nuggets that will help you to be so successful, and that will help you to cultivate better habits, to help you to optimize your ability to perform, to optimize your ability to think, to optimize the ability to show up in a higher version of you, and to optimize your ability to serve other people after you have served yourself in the best way possible. You cannot be the best mom or dad or teacher or professional or what have you if you haven't been the best to you, right? And so with that, understand that choices lead to behavior, which then leads to habits. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So a couple of things I want to share let's peel back some statistics first. Let's talk about I'm real big on stats. I'm real big on peeling back layers to help us to understand why we do what we do. According to a 2009 study from a trusted source, this is published in the European Journal of Social Psychology, that it takes, typically people say it takes 21 days to form a habit. But in this source, it says it takes 18 to 254 days for a person to form a habit. That's a big range, right? The study also concluded that on average, that it takes 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. That's 2 months, a little over 2 months. Listen to this. A 2009 study, it further shows that there's no cookie cutter answer per se for habits and how we cultivate them. Okay, there's no cookie cutter way. And so when we're going through talking about habits and what that means, I want you all to understand that it depends on the person. It depends on what the habit is. There are different variables. So it's impossible to have a one size fit all. So just know that. For example, certain habits take longer to form. A demonstrated study also showed that many participants found it easier to adapt drinking a glass of water every day versus doing 50 sit-ups every day before having coffee. I would take water for $200 anytime, Alex, before I do 50 sit-ups every day before coffee. And I don't even drink coffee. Okay. So let's just think about for a second. Think about that. Why? Because drinking water is a little easier. So it's easier to adopt that habit. And then what it says is some people are better suited to forming habits than others. And I'm going to talk about that a little more. A consistent routine of any kind isn't for everyone, and that's okay. So that's the part that I want to drive home quickly for us to understand. Everyone is different. Give yourself grace. It's a process. Success is a process. You cannot boil an ocean. It's fine. Give yourself grace. So let me just preface that. You also can't deal with what you don't reveal. So if you don't recognize some habits that you do need to cultivate and you do need to refine, then yes, it's going to be difficult for you to change anything. Just recognize that we all have shortfalls, we all have shortcomings, we all have things that we can fix. Certainly we do. Know that, and it is fine. It is okay. We are here to help, which is why we're talking about it today. So let's talk about the psychology part of this. The psychology of forming a habit. It also says, this is coming from a 2012 study. In the British Journal of General Practice, habits are actions that are triggered automatically in response to contextual clues that have been associated with their performance. You're probably like, okay, well, what does that mean? In other words, for example, when you get into your car, you automatically put on a seatbelt. Now, let's put this in context for a second. I say most people, and the reason why I say most people, like me, I get in my car, I put on my seatbelt. When I was a younger kid, I didn't do that. When I became older, i.e., getting ready to be of a driving age, I started to do that because I also know that if I wanted to drive in order to pass my driver's test and everything, I needed to put on a seatbelt or I wasn't going to pass. So it became a habit because my why was big enough to put on a seatbelt. And then think about this. Your brain likes habits because they're efficient. When you automate common actions, guess what happens? Listen, you free up mental resources for other tasks. That is so good. When you form habits, especially good habits, you open up your capacity to do more. Who knew? Chew on that for a second. I'm going to say that again. When you form good habits, you open up your capacity to do more. Now, let's talk about our favorite part. Why is it difficult to break some habits. Oh my gosh, why is it difficult to put those chips down? Talking to myself. Listen to this, because y'all know I like data. According to the NIH, National Institutes of Health, pleasure-based habits are particularly difficult to break. Why? Because enjoyable behavior prompts your brain to release dopamine. Y'all probably like, what's dopamine? Well, I'm going to tell you. Dopamine is the reward that strengthens the habit and creates the craving to do it again. Like the chips that you put on your lips. And from your lips, it goes to your hips. But we don't need that. But it's so good. You eat the chips, you're like satisfied. That's that dopamine. Like they say, you can't just get one. You have to eat the whole bag of chips. But it's not good for you. So to break the habit, it's like, oh my gosh. No, go eat some cucumbers instead. I don't want to eat cucumbers. That's not releasing dopamine. That's not a feel-good situation. So it makes it challenging to break those habits that are not good for you, right? But listen, fret not. There are ways to break habits. Habits are not unbreakable. They are refinable. Hear me. Hard to do, but not impossible. Couple of things. Dr. Latimore-Lorfils, the director of NIH on drug abuse, she says the first step to become more aware is to become more aware of your habits. What did I say earlier? You cannot heal what you don't reveal. So if you don't own the habit, you don't recognize the habit, you can't fix it. You can't refine it, right? So own it. It's just like saying, well, I'm a crackhead and I'm delivered from it. Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna now go to the crack house and I'm not gonna smoke the crack. The devil is a liar. Yes, you probably will. Though you may have quote unquote kicked the habit, still a part of you. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're gonna do that. Because guess what? That craving, that dopamine, it's probably gonna rise up. And we'll talk about that. And part of what she's saying, part of it, know the habit. Number two, identify the places, people, or activities that are linked in your mind to certain habits and then change the behavior towards those, i.e. going to a crack house as a recovering crack addict. We're not going to do that. If you know that you love to eat, don't bring the Snicker bars in the house. Don't even buy them. Oh, I'm just gonna buy one. I'm gonna buy a fun size. No, leave the fun size in the store. If you leave it in the store, and if you get up at 12 o'clock at night and you want to go chew on something, chew on a grape. If you bring the Snickers in the house, you're gonna eat it. Because you're gonna be like, oh, it's just one, it's a fun size. And then there's this thing that's called relapse. Don't know what that is? You'll do it, and then it's gonna be so good to you, and that dopamine is gonna be some kind of juicy, and you're gonna be worse than where you started. You're really gonna have a hard time kicking the habit. So don't. Another thing that can help you to achieve your goals, replace the bad habit with a good one. I just used an example. Instead of the Snickers, buy grapes. If you feel like you want to chew on something, get gum. And for me, I love chips. And sometimes it's really not about the chips. It's just about the urge to chew. So now I chew gum. And because I know I don't want my AC level going up, I don't want to be a diabetic, I don't want to be a candidate for heart disease, I don't want any of that. And I want to release these extra friends that have to be evicted from my body. I'm not going to chew regular gum. I'm going to chew sugar-free gum. And I have that chewing sensation without chewing on any chips that don't need to go to my hips. Yeah, following what I'm saying? You picking up what I'm putting down? I'm so glad. And what I want to talk about too, you have willpower versus why power. Willpower is your ability to really fight the urge to do something or not to do something, right? But then you have your why power. I'll call these the W squared power. The why power is that thing, that reason, that motivation, that thing that's like is so big that no matter what, I'm going to do it because my why is so big. I use an example. If I say, oh, I want to lose 5 pounds, well, it's just 5 pounds. So, well, okay, I might just eat one chip. Or my why isn't really that big because it's just 5 pounds versus I don't want heart disease. So my why just got bigger. Well, no, I'm not going to eat the chip. Or for those of you that know about Squid Games, if you don't know about Squid Games, it's this show on TV. I really don't recommend anybody watching it because it really can charge your emotions. But let me just describe what it is. If you're in my generation, we used to play games back in the day, red light, green light, mother may I tag, that kind of thing. And this particular one is red light, green light, and you have the thing at the front, and it'll say red light, green light. And when it's red, you don't move. When it's green, you move. And while it's green, you got to get to the target as fast as you can. But when it turns red, you got to be still. Well, in a game, in normal life, you just be still. And if you found move, you just out the game. Well, in Squid Games, if you're caught moving, the target is going to find you and it's going to shoot you. And if it shoots you, you're going to expire, saying it nicely. So in Squid Games, let's just say red light, green light, it's red. And I'm like, the chip could be right in front of my face. And it could be the cheddar and sour cream, which is my kryptonite. I will not move. I will not touch the chips because if it turns around, it sees me moving and it's Squid Games, it's gonna shoot me. That chip is not that good. Nope. I have no desire for the chips. No. My why just got real big because I'm trying to live, man. That's kind of how you got to think. And that's how I think with heart disease. No, it's not Squid Games, but it is Squid Games. If it keeps, if it keeps, if I keep eating it and I develop heart disease, guess what's going to happen to me? I will expire prematurely and I will leave 12 children behind prematurely. No, I cannot be eating the chips. So I have to leave the chips behind. So my why is bigger. So listen, with that said, with your habits, you have to create a space and place where your why power is so big that it will help you with your willpower and it will help you to cultivate what you need to be doing in real time. Are you all with me on this? I understand. Well, I've been doing it for so long and I just can't help myself. No, you can help yourself if you choose to help yourself. Everything starts with a choice. Everything starts with a choice that's going to help you with your decision. And just like I said, you cannot eat an elephant in a day. The elephant is a decision, and you have to take one bite at a time. The bite are choices. Each bite is a choice. Each bite is a choice. Each bite is a choice. The choice is leads to the decision, which is the elephant. You can't make the whole elephant in one day. You can't eat the whole thing. One bite at a time. You can't boil an ocean. One drop at a time. One small piece at a time, one small habit at a time, change one small habit at a time. And in cultivating a habit, what I want you all to do, your actionable step that I want you to take, you will create a habit tracker and you will rate yourself from 1 to 5. 1, you're doing not so good. 5, you're doing great. Create a habit. Give yourself maybe 5 habits that you want to work on. And you start this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Give yourself some wiggle room on Saturday and Sunday. Just kind of give yourself a little reprieve. And then you're going to rate yourself on those habits. Do well Monday through Friday. And then on Saturday, reroute. Sunday, Monday, come back Monday again, go through those habits again and rate yourself again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 1 through 5. Be intentional about rating yourself on those habits. And then let's see how you do. Now, you saw at the beginning with the data, it says on average, it takes 66 days for a habit to really form and for it to become a part of you. So on day 30, don't be like, oh my God, I can't do it. If you fall off the wagon, fine. Fall off the wagon, get back on the wagon again, and start over. Start over. Give yourself grace along the way. Let's see what else. And then while you're doing that, ask yourself, I want you to reflect. Reflect on your habit tracker. What patterns or insights have you noticed about your behavior? And how often, and how can you leverage this information to reinforce your positive habits? Question number 2, how can you integrate an accountability buddy system into your daily routine to ensure consistency? right? In your habit formation. Find somebody that's going to hold you accountable. Get your buddy to do this with you. It works. If you know somebody's going to be like, hey, yo, Susie, did you work on that last week? How was your scoring? What did you do? If you know someone's waiting on you, you're going to get it done. Like me, if I know somebody's waiting for me at the gym and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, I know they got up out their bed. Oh my gosh. And I didn't call and tell them anything and I didn't reach them. I will get up. I will be at the gym because I'm not going to have them waiting for me. That is just like, no. So get an accountability partner, right? Do that. And then report yourself out. Okay. That is what we're talking about this week on habits. I pray that this episode will help you to cultivate and give you some nuggets on what you can do to improve your habits on Girl Organize That Life. If you would like to work with me further, I encourage you to go to www.girlorganizethatlife.com and feel free to set up a 15-minute catalyst call with me where we can go deeper and discuss your specific pain points. Also, please share this link with your friends where they can join us on our podcast every Monday, 8 p.m., where they can listen in and get some of these nuggets. And I just look forward to whatever feedback that you have for us. And if there are specific topics and things that you would like for us to share and expound upon, please let us know. And if you are interested in being a guest on our podcast, please feel free to go to www.girlorganizethatlife and sign up for a 15-minute intake session where we can discuss what we can talk about to edify the masses. Meanwhile, bye for now, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Coach L3.